This month's photography theme is Julyrony. I have challenged all of us to use irony or juxtaposition in our photography. I shared a photo shoot a couple of weeks ago where I did high fashion in the high desert. Definitely a juxtaposition. Today, I have a new photo shoot for you. This week, I went into my studio and I yanked the lights out. Maybe yanked is a little bit of an exaggeration. I actually gently carried the lights out. But then I opened up the curtains for a natural light only studio photo shoot. Ironic? Maybe. Unconventional? Definitely. And in this video, I'll share photos from the shoot, how I made the whole thing work. Plus, I'll tell you how you can see a gallery of images and a behind the scenes video. So my studio is kind of a safe place for me. I can control all of the variables, the power and the placement of the lights, what kind of lights, the color of the backdrop, the positioning of everything, even the air temperature. And I've done it so many times, I know what works. But it is Julyrony after all. I'm not looking for easy, I'm looking for a challenge. And taking the studio light out of my studio seemed a little bit ironic, and definitely a challenge. I wanted to see what would happen if I just opened up some curtains instead. And I experimented with what happens when you embrace the natural light and shadow against a studio backdrop. Now, my goal wasn't to just take photos using natural light. I actually wanted to create some nice portraits where the viewer wouldn't question how the subject was lit. You see someone in a studio setting and you assume that there was artificial lighting involved, and I want that to be the assumption here. I initially thought I would use all of the windows in my studio for this, but I ended up using only half of them. I opened up the ones to the camera's left. That way, I had light and shadow, which maintained the dimension of me as the subject. I certainly could have used all of the windows for a brighter effect, but I liked the look of having the shadows. Speaking of shadows, you'll notice that there is some shadow behind me. I certainly cast some shadow on the backdrop because the backdrop wasn't being lit by anything, but it's a soft shadow, and I actually like it. I think there is a time and a place for formal studio photos with lots of lights, but sometimes I feel that leads to the subject appearing to kind of float in the image. I'm okay with that look sometimes, but I typically prefer a more grounded look, which the shadow provides here. So if you want to see more from this shoot, there is a link in the description below. My Snapchick VIPs and Patreon Zion and Beyond patrons can see the entire gallery of photos from this shoot, along with a behind-the-scenes video. If you aren't a VIP or a patron, you can find out what those are all about at the link below too. One last thing before I go is that I used my new little Canon Rebel SL2/EOS 200D for this shoot. I shared my first impressions of this camera in a video yesterday, and I'm working towards my full review of it, so I will be doing lots more photography with this little guy in the coming week, including another studio shoot. Though probably this time I'll probably use some studio lighting. So keep your eyes out for those things here on YouTube and on my Facebook page or on Twitter.